Hello and welcome to the Intuition Help Desk. I'm Jamira, your intuitive guide, and today's question is, what's the best way to interpret tarot cards? Before we get started, I want to remind you that if you have a question about connecting with your intuition or intuitive tarot, to leave it down in the comments below. There really is no right or wrong way to read a tarot card, which I'm sure is not the answer you were necessarily looking for, but there are some steps that you can take to get yourself kind of in a place where you can put your perfectionism, where you can put kind of your conscious mind to the side and connect with your deeper self, connect with your inner voice, and read the card. So the first step I have is to get into some type of receptive mode. Again, we want to put our perfectionism to the side. So whether that be saying a prayer, clearing your deck. So people like knocking on their deck as a way to clear it. Some people go through and they'll order all cards, in a particular order and then shuffle. So really finding a way to clear your deck that really resonates with you. Some people light a candle. You really want to make sure that you're in a space that is quiet, a space that you have a few minutes to yourself to connect with the cards, and take a deep breath before you get started to get yourself in that receptive mode. The next step on how to read tarot cards is to make sure you're asking yourself helpful questions. So helpful questions are usually the classic who, what, where, when, why, how questions. You want to be asking yourself open-ended questions that allow for a story to form and grow. Tarot cards are really just symbols on cards that allow your brain to tell a story that it wants to tell. It's kind of like automatic writing, or I don't know if you've ever heard of the artist way, where you do artist pages in the morning. It's just a or a cue to help get your brain to tell a story. So asking yourself really closed questions like, will XYZ happen today? Or should I do this? Yes or no? Like those are kind of restrictive that can sometimes get your brain to shut down. And whenever you look at a card, you can kind of, blank out. So making sure you're asking yourself those open-ended questions that allow room for a story. The next tip I have is to stop assuming. Stop assuming you know what the card means, or stop assuming you know what answer you want. And so you're trying to formulate the cards to answer the particular question in the way that you want it to be answered. Like really just stop coming in with preconceived notions. It's really a crutch that sometimes happens with readers who have such a strict controlling definition of what a card means. Like, of course, like every card does have specific symbolism that traditionally means a certain thing. Numbers, numerology have specific meanings, of course, but when you come into a reading wanting to read the tarot cards intuitively, sometimes those definitions and meanings can take a back seat, and by letting them take a backseat, it allows what really wants to come forward to actually come forward and come out of you. Now, there's nothing wrong with looking up the answer in the book or online, but I would really, really challenge you to look at a card and go with what the first thing that comes out of your mouth, or the first thing that comes out of your mind, or the feeling that comes up in you, because that is more than likely the correct answer in that moment for that card. And then if you want to back it up with what the book says, or if you want more information, definitely look that up. But I really want to challenge you to just go with whatever pops up first, even if it makes no sense. Like, let's pick a card. We have the Nine of Swords. Let's say you see this card, and let's say the person doesn't look sad. Maybe to you, the person actually looks relieved in some way. Maybe they've been thinking about something and they finally came to a breaking moment of like, oh, wow, this is what, if this card could maybe mean epiphany when you first saw it. Or maybe when you first saw this card, you saw coldness. Or maybe when you first saw this card, you thought curiosity. You were curious, why are they up in the middle of the night? Why are these swords, hanging on the wall? So although this card can traditionally mean rumination, maybe you saw this card and thought, oh, curiosity. So really just going with whatever comes first, because there is no right or wrong answer, and just really trusting what comes up. And if none of the words that I said came up for you when you saw this card, I would love to know in the comments what words came up for you when you saw this Nine of Swords. So speaking of what comes up for you, regardless of what the book states, that is my next tip, is to write down your own interpretations and write down your own definitions. You can do it day by day, picking a random card and deciding what comes up for you, what colors do you see? What symbols do you see? What numbers come up? What emotions do you feel inside? What happens around you? For instance, sometimes if I ask myself a question, I look at a card, my dog will bark all of a sudden. And oh, what was the word I was thinking of right before my dog barked? Okay, that must be the answer. Like looking at your environment, looking at what your environment is outside as well as inside is going to really help define these cards for you, define these cards intuitively, and help you build your own, encyclopedia of knowledge. Then it would be really interesting after you've gotten these intuitive definitions to go through each card and maybe look up the traditional definition to help bolster your own definition or to see how close you are with what the card actually traditionally means. Because you would be surprised intuitively how close sometimes the definitions, come together. And you're like, oh, I actually don't even need the book because I am the best tarot reader ever alive. Next tip I have is to look at the dynamic between the cards. So are the cards facing each other? Are they facing away from each other? If one card could talk to another, what would it say? Again, creating that story. Tarot is all about telling yourself a story or allowing your intuition to tell a story for you. So we will pick 2 cards. Interesting. So we have the 3 of Cups and the Sun. So if you were to look at these 2 cards and interpret them, what colors come out? Well, blue and gold are very very prominent in these 2 cards. Interesting, and both cards have this red cloak. And when I think of like a red velvety kind of cloak, well, I guess it's a flag in this one, but like red velvety fabric, I think warmth, I think luxury, I think of pajamas. And so there can be some comfort that comes with these cards. If you were to ask them, it kind of looks like maybe there's a parade on one end and everyone is celebrating, this parade. So asking these cards, what is the celebration? What is the parade? For me, it's filming this video today. It's getting ready to film this video. Everyone is celebrating the fact that I did it. That's what I see when I see these cards. Are these 2 cards, talking to each other? What are the difference between the cards? One is a minor arcana and one is a major arcana. Is that, stirring anything up for me? So that's one example. We can do another one. Maybe we will grab 2 cards where there are people facing, or maybe not. We'll see. We're just going to pick 2 random cards because that's how life is. Okay. So we have the Knight of Cups and the 8, right? Yep, the 8 of Wands. So if you look at these 2 cards, I mean, I guess we didn't ask any questions, but if we're just like off the dome looking at these 2 cards, again, both are light blue. So these even seem like they would be in the same scene. If we were to literally put them next to each other, the backgrounds look very similar. And it looks like he's marching towards these swords. They're wands, they're not swords. These wands, it kind of is interesting because they look like maybe they're protecting him. So if he's a knight, which he is a knight, and if we think about like traditional war, like they do it like in lines, and like the first line, if they all have their wands out and they're marching forward in front of him, so this could maybe feel like some type of protection. Look in this card, like what is his horse marching forward slowly? Does it look like it's going quick to you? Does it look like it's interested in taking a drink of water, which is what I'm actually going to do? Really allowing your brain to tell a story is really, really, really key to intuitively interpreting these cards. And it's really interesting. All 4 cards were blue. So I'm taking light blue as a really positive step, a positive day. So again, looking at colors, numbers, symbols, what the people are doing, what the animals are doing, what the people are saying, all of those things are going to really help, again, interpret these cards intuitively. And it's also interesting because the baby has a feather in their hair, which I've actually never noticed that. Or it's a crown. They have a red feather in their crown. And the knight also has feathers sticking out from his head armor. So, what could that mean? Well, If you think of birds, feathers, freedom, flight, seeing the big picture. I mean, really, again, I'm just creating a story. I'm just saying the first words that pop into my head, and I'm not judging myself for it. I'm not urging myself to look up any definitions. I'm really creating that story for myself. It would have been helpful if maybe I asked a question beforehand, but really, like, that is what, while you create your own dictionary or encyclopedia of knowledge, again, just looking at a card, saying the first word that pops up, trusting those words, and just looking for the connections between the cards and the symbolism to help bolster and build that story for yourself, so your intuition can speak to you in a way that is free of ego, that it's non-judgmental. You can start getting the answers that you really, really need. This quick video to get you started on interpreting tarot cards intuitively was helpful. I love answering your questions, so make sure to leave your questions down in the comments below. Leave your own card interpretations for the cards that we showed during this video, as well as any tips that you have to put your perfectionism aside and to open up this intuitive realm of reading tarot for yourself. I hope this video helped you read your tarot cards more intuitively, to put your perfectionism to the side and step into the deeper meaning of the cards for yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I love answering questions in videos like this, as well as in the comments, as well as leave any interpretations that you have for the cards that we showed during today's reading, or any tips that you have for other people and how you better connected with your cards intuitively. Like the video if you like the video. It lets the YouTube algorithm gods know that people are interested and helps spread the word, puts the channel in front of more people. You can subscribe for more content like this, or join my Patreon, link down below in the description, for more exclusive comments and Q&A sessions. But until next time, happy tarot reading, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.